Right
and
on
make sure it
time,
looks
look at
good.
that. I
Yep,
just saw
right
the
on
clock
time.
switch after you click the button.
Perfect.
Magic.
Yep, we're starting soon. I think everybody can hear us, which is fine. Yo, folks, we'll be starting in just a second. We'll wait for some people to trickle in. We'll give them like a minute or two. Let's see. I don't know how to actually see who's in the show. Okay, let me do this.
Are you mod?
Yes.
Okay, then all you have to do is go back to the stream, click the little mod icon. Bottom right, bottom right, bottom right, bottom right,
bottom
right.
right.
Yeah, you're already in mod view. You're
yeah,
there.
I'm already in there, but I just
in chat.
Yeah, I just don't see the number like this.
Yeah.
It's like a number.
Yeah,
Yo.
so it's there. Your screen's just really small. So.
No, dude, this is the best I got. This is the best I got. Yeah, I know we can hear you. All right, this is some janky stuff. This is me. I'm running the cams. Get over it. so Queen. Yeah, we'll get started in just a second. We got the wonderful. F this. Let's just get started. All right. You guys ready? If you're not, it's too late now. All right. Welcome, folks. This is Playmakers with the one you see in TTao Gaming. Welcome, one you see.
How's it going, brother?
Good, man. It's good to have you here. Today we got Doc taking a trip in Mexico, doing his thing. So today we got another special, we got another host for you guys. It should be a good time. I always love One You See. Should I just call you Luke or call you One You See? You always say
Call
that.
me Luke, man. Yeah.
Dude, you always say it during like VRML cast, and it's like
my
it's in my head.
but it's not my name.
I know, but it's in my head now, cause that's why I hear you the most. But yeah, we got Luke here with us. And we have the awesome SingleShot as our guest today from Team Ethereal. As you folks might know, one of the best teams in the world. And we're going to be taking a look at some really cool clips, and we're going to be doing some discussion today. How are you doing today, Luke?
I'm doing well, man. I mean, I was had a good day. Was looking forward to come here, chat with you, talk about some Echo, talk with Single, see what his big brain has to say about some of these plays. I mean, I've seen the clips. They're pretty juicy.
100%. Yeah, let's and on that intro, let's bring in SingleShot. Welcome.
Yo. What's up?
All right. Hopefully I didn't mess up cams entirely. So folks in chat, can you go ahead and give me let me know if everything's looking good, volume's good, if anything I need to change. But otherwise, welcome SingleShot. How are you doing today, brother?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Now I want to ask you something. How much Echo have you been playing, and has it been taking a toll on your body lately?
Dude, a lot since finals. I've been playing like at least 4 or 5 hours a day. You can definitely see red marks just on my face.
You know, I never noticed it until you pointed it out, TTao. You can definitely see it.
Yeah.
This is a man who plays Echo. You know it. You know, you got that.
Yeah.
Dude.
I haven't even played today, dude. These are all from last night when I was up to like 3. Yeah. No, I was playing from like 10 to like 3, and these were I just stayed overnight. It's terrible.
Dude. Dude, we know you're putting you're grinding 100%. It's taking a physical toll, man. They can't. It's like, well, what is it? Like in my mind, it's like when you play. It's like playing a lot of baseball or something. Just getting like tons of like scratchiness and all that stuff, man. And also,
yeah.
Okay, before we go any further, let's I would love to have you guys plug some of the stuff that you guys are doing. What are some of the cool stuff that you guys are doing? Some of the community that you guys are involved in. Luke, Luke, go first. Plug some stuff, man. Let the people know what you're up to, where to find more about you, all that fun stuff.
I don't know, man. I don't have too much online, but if you are 18 plus, we'd love to have you part of TTao. Great community of folks who are really just here to have some fun playing Echo. I mean, I know some of them usually watch the VODs to this, so hello, welcome. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks, huge shout out to TTao. But yeah, that's really the one and only main thing. Otherwise, I cast for VRML and a few other random tournaments, which is always a good time. But yeah, it's a good time, not a long time. But if you're 18 plus, come hang out, join us in TTao.community, and then you can join our Discord that way.
Absolutely. TTao is amazing place. We're actually going to be taking a look at some of the TTao members for the community section that towards the end today. So it'll be good. We got Spike, Quackliz, and a few of those folks. And what about you, Single Shot? Like, let the people know, like, what are you up to?
I am very bad at staying on social media. Like, I'm pretty much mostly active on Discord, but I used to stream a bit. It's under the same name as Single Shot, but don't look there now because there's nothing up because I haven't streamed in 2 months.
Oh, well,
that's about it.
Well, you know where I see you the most active in privateers.
Yep.
That's
in the privates, dude.
That's right. That's right. Seeing you lots, helping out, filling in for when folks drop out, which is always a pleasure to have you play with us.
Oh yeah.
Now, is there anything else you guys want to talk a bit about before we go into some of the clips and the analysis today?
I just want to talk about some Echo, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So one of the first things we're going to be taking a look at is some stack defense, right? So we're going to be taking a look at a clip today from Ethereal versus Oceans in the finals. That was very recent. Let's take a look at this clip real fast. Yeah, let's take a look at this clip. Again, we're going to mute. Yeah, so you got a nice pass going through left side. Now, as you can see, we're taking a main look at the stack. There's like a great stack from Ethereal, I believe, is KFC and JDG, and there's this pressure. You can see them just bounce.
Dude, they are flying past everything right now.
Yeah, you can see it. As you can see, they're staying right there. Oh, and finally the pick, the pick right there, right? So, let's sort of chat a bit about that. So, Single Shot, I know you're not in this stack right there. I know you're in the back stack. Can you tell us a bit about this stack defense that's being run here by Ethereal?
It's, your standard meta double stack. We've been doing it for probably around close to 3 seasons, honestly. I think it's the only defense we run now. We always have the front two, whether it's KFC and Jiggy, KFC and JDG. We always have them be as aggressive as possible. And then you can see on the minimap, me and Jason aren't stacked right now. But we are next to each other. In this one clip, I'm actually covering, I think, someone down low, which pretty much lines up all their defenders in the one lane. It allows our front stack to just jump between so much faster.
Yeah, here.
And then as soon as they get the pick, we're just flying down the field.
Absolutely, you can see the backs. Yeah, go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, so in the stack defense, right? I mean, I just for everyone who maybe is at different skill levels, what's kind of the objective behind your stacking? Is the point to get a pick? Is the point to pressure a bad pass? Is the point to do maybe a little bit of both? What are you kind of thinking when you're in that stack?
The way I see it is you're not directly looking to steal it out of a defender's hand or an offense's hand. That's so much more risky because you risk getting your stack broken up by someone who's just feeling stun happy. You're just looking to mess them up. You're looking for them to just panic them enough that they miss a pass by just small enough that the backstack can recollect it. And in this clip, we actually do get the pick right out of someone's hand, so it works out quite well.
Now, I want to mention, it was like the 6th or 7th push by the stack, right? It wasn't, they didn't push the stack and they got it right away. It was bounce. They pivot, they change directions. So you mentioned about trying to stay outside of that stun happy range. What would you say is a rough ballpark? Is there are you trying to grab a geo right in front of them? Are you how does the stack do that?
I would always grab a geo. You pretty much that's the number one thing I think in stacking is if you're ever trying to move around or turn or do anything, you always want to be grabbing geo because you can turn on a dime so much faster than trying to do a U-turn in the air. Even if U-turns are cooler, personally, I just think so. But you always want to be grabbing. You want to be I don't really know how to describe the distance, COVID distance away from the guy, so they can't get you with a lunge in the 4x4. You want to be just far enough away, still putting pressure.
Yeah, so here, let me try to get that. It's right there, right? You can see them
just
sort of
pretty much right there, yeah.
Right? Instead of going directly at Mad, they go towards that pyramid, and then you can sort of see KFC is sort of crawling down it almost, and then going. Here's another question for you. In terms of the stack, right? Now, I've heard, so B-Love, and there was a few others, they were mentioning how, is there one person that's mainly controlling the stack, or is it just it's a constant flow?
At least the way I'm not front stack, so I can't speak to them. But I know at least for the back stack with me and Jason, we always have Jason kind of leading, and I'm kind of just, I wouldn't really say guessing, but since I played with him so much, I know where he's trying to go, and I'm automatically pulling there, versus him trying to actually say and talk in mid stack.
Of course.
So yeah, we do usually have one person controlling it, but I mean that's not all the time. That's just what we usually do.
Yeah. So the other thing in terms of the stack, right? I know that. So you mentioned you've been doing it for 3 seasons. You know, there's definitely been a shift in the meta, right? There was like a very heavy, almost like man and zone defense, and now sort of the last season, this season, you're seeing a lot more of this stack defense, even when enemy side is like right here, right? Like you see the stack isn't going back onto man defense. You're still staying as a stack defense. I'm curious. So right now, are you saying that for the team Ethereal right now, it's like you just always run stack defense no matter where they are, or is there a point?
The only time we're not running stack defense is if they're like the disc is actively inside our bubble. Okay. Like even on defense, which we'll probably see in a few clips, is me and Jason will still be like on the goal. Like I'll be sitting on his back in goal, and we're ready to just launch at the next pass. So even if that close on the field, we're still having a stack to just have the superior mobility.
Okay, so, well, you know, I've heard this, you know, called like a bump by Alduin. I've heard it called like a slingshot by Venom, where like so a defender, when the goal is not super hot, like right, you know, like a meter away from the goal, right? You have a defender stay on the goalie back, correct?
Yep, that's pretty much what it is.
And it sounds like you would recommend that just as generally on defense because you have the increased mobility of a stack being ready. Is that correct? Okay, cool. Now, before we actually go into a different topic, let's take another look at another clip of the stack defense, right? So we're going to take a look at a second clip. Is there anything else you want to add to this one, Luke? Before we...
I wanted to really hit upon that back stack importance there. I think I really want to make sure that's clear for a lot of people. So not only is the front stack stacked, right, but in this 2-2 play, you also, as you said, Single, have the back stack. So just to make it explicitly clear, you know, what are you looking for? Are you looking for any free disc? Are you going to try to race the other team? Are you going to rotate? Or is it only if there is a clear turnover that you're really pushing out of the bubble as that back stack?
It's situational, but most of the time, as the backstack, we're just looking for the floating disc. We're not trying to intercept too many passes because, like, if we miss the pass, that's a free 3 for them.
Screwed, yeah.
Yeah, we're just trying to look like if they miss and it goes to ceiling, you know, that's us. It's like the only time where it's different is in the actual start of this clip. See that Oceans is trying to run a relay by the. I think it's a relay.
It is.
So you can see that actually our front stack is pushing up into the tunnel here, and the back stack's just behind covering the deep pass there. So it's like we're not, you know, fully committing, but we're stopping that one lane so they can't push as fast in there.
Yeah. You can see in the little mini map where they're positioning, it looks like they're right on like Nugget, and you can see on the left side of the screen right there as well. All right.
Yeah, cool. That's the only thing I really wanted to touch upon.
Yeah. Now, I definitely want to talk about like a 2-2 side, like how aggressive should backstack be. All right, okay, now let's take a look at the next clip first, because it's very similar. We're taking a look at another stack defense clip, so let's take a look at that. So again, JDG, like they were able to get that pass off, and again, lots of quick little passes, lots of stuns as well. By the way, it was like 3-4 stuns in a row, and finally able to, I believe they finally recovered right there, and they were able to slap it out. And I believe did they convert? I'm not sure. Yeah, they convert.
We did, yeah.
You guys convert on that one, absolutely. So again, very similar. This one, right? Again, short passes by Ocean, very short, quick passes, but JDG and KFC just staying on them, quick.
So the stack is really good in this clip.
Yeah, the stack is phenomenal. I remember this game. This was fire. So, you know, we always talk about, and you said it not too long ago either. You know, whenever you're the front stack, you're never, at least in my head, and you know, you paraphrased, or I'm paraphrasing you here, but you know, you're going to force a pass, right? You want to force a mistake so that you can then punish, and whether that's a free disc and the back stack can recollect, or you know, the front stack collects, and you're not really going for the stun, right? So, what's the difference maker in your head that this stack in this moment literally went for like 3 stuns? Like, is it just they're feeling it? Like, is it just like when you're really vibing, you're just like whatever, or is there some sort of rule that you at least have in your head to help define when is it worth the risk to go for the risky play?
I feel like in this case and in most cases, if you're trying to play this aggressive, it's all about just, game sense and like your intuition. You can see they're pushing super, super aggressive here. They're kind of banking on Oceans to panic because all their passes are super close, which means the stack can push super fast.
Mm-hmm.
So with the way they're playing, they're really banking on Oceans and just focusing on getting the disc off rather than stunning the stack. And it works out for them quite well here.
Yeah,
It hits off the head on the pass.
So would you say that, if there is a lot of control midfield, like, the opposing team is trying to break through, of course, that kind of midfield choke point, and there is no long relay, there is no like outlet pass that they really have, it's worth going for the risk? Like, would you have a generalized rule like that, or would you say it still is just so much game sense and really feel?
I could see something like that if they don't have the deep pass, but it is really just a lot of feel. Everyone on Ethereal's been playing this game for several years, so everyone just kind of has that knowledge at the tip of their fingers to know when to press, know when to fall back, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of backstack, now you were mentioning how the stack was staying together, and you can sort of see it on the mini map here that it looks like you and the goalie are most likely like really close to each other or staying stacked, right? So again, you're in this situation, you're just waiting to see if they get like a loose disc, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, in this one, you can see I push off. I think it was Jason at goal, and you can see on the mini map I'm covering their cross pass here.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps them like even more panicked. They now can't set up with the cross, and they have to try to go past. They have to try to go back past the stack instead of the safer option.
Okay. Now, that's one of the things that I think we don't see enough in lower levels, but it happens a lot at higher levels, which is covering passes, right? And like trying to force situations where the stack can easily read where they're going to go next. When do you sort of prioritize covering lanes, and when do you like stay stacked with the goalie?
It's mostly if I think I have a good read. Like in this one clip, all three of their main defenders are in like one line, right? There's one double, there's one low right. They're all in like that one kind of axis. So I know that if there's going to be a pass, most realistically, it's going to be the cross low. So in that situation, I'm pushing at her if I feel like I have a good read on it. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to the goalie and he can just launch me out with a slingshot like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Now, you can't see it in the clip because of the way the camera, but you can see it on the mini-map that you are covering that cross pass on floor. Mm-hmm. So that little mini-map on the bottom right corner right there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, this is, as we're talking about, like, how far, when you push, when you stay as a stacked, one of the things, that comes up a lot is, like, 2-2 stack defense on the initial joust, right? So I'm going to go back to clip 1, where like as you mentioned, you're set up like right there, like you're not in goal, you're not so far behind, you're on nugget. How far would you say the backstack? How far do you want the backstack to push, essentially?
It depends how confident you are in getting back. Like if you're like Ignite and you have stupid fast stacks, then go to double. Screw it. Like if you can get back at like that fast, then you're allowed to be more aggressive because you can cover for those mistakes. Absolutely. If you like aren't as confident in your boosting yet, then like maybe play a little more passive till you are.
Okay. And what I'm hearing in terms of speed is to cover those long threes, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Were you gonna say something?
So if you're a newer, so a lot of these people listening to this show, aren't Ignite, right?
Yeah.
So at what point would you say is it not worth going for the 2-2 if you are a team, just kind of starting on the grind? Of course, you've been at the top for a long time, so maybe that's a really tough question for you. But I understand that. But at what point would you say like you need to be able to do X in order to at least start thinking about going for this kind of 2-2 more dynamic plays?
Double stack's actually a really interesting defense in that way, and if it's played by like the lower level, it'll seem like super ineffective because people just won't know how to stack. They won't know where to go. So if you ever watch like one of the like a plat or a silver game and they try to double stack, you'll see it's not really. They're not getting picks. They're not doing any of that. I would feel like if you're just starting out, maybe try to do something where you have that front stack still pushing, but the back two can kind of split, and so they can kind of get the bearings of each of the plays. But like as you go up the ladder and as you get like more confident in your gameplay and as you're better accustomed to boosting at high speeds, then you start transitioning and start kind of feeling how to do a double stack.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying that really focus on the fundamentals that you're kind of taking for granted here, like covering a man without being in stun rage and still being able to read that disc, or being able to kind of read the play before you're thinking about, okay, let's read the play together as a stack to then zip around the arena and rotate back to stop those long threes.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
Now, here's another question. This is going to seem slightly off, but as you mentioned, since the stack is like, okay, here's the question. At extremely low levels, especially in bronze and silver, where they can't make threes, it's open threes all day. No one can make them.
1 in 10. Let's give them
1 in 10. 1 in 10. Let's say
my fair share of matches. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna totally be bad. I'm just saying, like, they 1 in 10 they make those shots, but like half the time they're not, right? Like, would you recommend teams at lower levels try double stacking more aggressively, or would you say play the back stack a little back, practice it, work on your scrims, and in the matches then play it later? I guess the question I'm having is, when should the people start trying out the stacks if they're not making if the enemy team isn't making threes? Would you recommend them trying it or not?
Yes and no. You can play more aggressive, but don't fall into the trap of being just kind of relying on your enemies not being able to hit shots, because as you start to win games off that, your enemies are going to start to make shots and you're just going to be forming bad habits. It's go for the more aggressives, but know when it's acceptable to be more aggressive. If you know who you're facing and you know they can't make threes. Okay. We had a situation like that actually even in Master with just how it is with Quest and whatnot. We're kind of banking on whenever we play Overkill. Sorry, I'm going to flame Overkill real quick. We are more reliant on them not making threes, so we're playing a little more aggressive than we are playing Instinct or Ignite or Oceans, because we know how accurate those players are versus them.
Absolutely. Okay. So if I'm understanding it correctly, the more likely they are to make long threes, the more passive the backstack, or the more further back the backstack is, the less likely they are to make open threes. The more aggressive the backstack can be. Is that correct? Does that sound about right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I understand it sort of correctly.
Yeah.
And also, I'm running cams. This is one of the first time I'm running cams, doing videos, all that, and I'm asking questions. I apologize if I'm not completely on the ball. I'm doing what I can, homie.
It looks beautiful, my friend. It looks beautiful.
Okay, great. Now, in terms of talking about backstacks, what do you think about right now? We take a transition and take a look at one of the clips that we have with you in a backstack. Does that sound good?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I believe it's either this one or the other one. Let me double check. I believe it's this one. I'm pretty sure it's this one. I could be wrong. It is this one. This is this one. This is the
489.
Yeah, this is the one. I'm pretty sure this is the one where you're. Yeah. Again, as you can see, you guys are together. Is this the right one? Backstack.
This looks like bubble defense.
No, this is bubble defense. I don't think this is the right one. Give me 1 second. Let me double check. Let me make sure I got the right clip. Because the one
sent me the last link. If you look at her DMs.
The only problem right now is if I look at DMs on my computer, my screen will go messed up. So, give me 1 moment to do that. Well, take a look. Keep talking about stack defense while I figure this out. Give me a second.
Okay, so as someone who in the last few seasons has worked their way up from, the bottom. Really, I remember when we couldn't hit threes or we couldn't. Stack at all. For us, there's lots of interesting plays, like you said, like stack defense that are effective either until you reach a certain level or not effective until you reach a certain level. So talking about stack defense, right? I mean, as kind of you alluded to earlier, it doesn't necessarily make the most sense until you have that kind of game sense, that chemistry, as Juicyfer mentioned in chat, with a teammate or just with people in general, kind of finding those stack pressure. So, you know, do you think that there is value on really focusing on covering lanes, on keeping numbers advantage as like really fundamental plays to get a baseline for when you eventually do get that double stack kind of chemistry going, either through a lot of practice or because you started winning more games? Or do you think it's one of those things where it's like, well, if you play more privates with better people and you get those stack pressure down, then you can get better quicker? Does that question make any sense?
Yeah, I get what you're going for, and you're right. Honestly, you gotta get those fundamentals. Playing privates is like all right, but it's not gonna help you if it comes to boosting with your own team unless you're actively playing with them. Like you want to be, even if you're not like, when you're practicing fundamentals, even if you're not improving your stack in that moment, like you're still practicing your fundamentals. You're still becoming a better player. So like, where's the downside? Just keep going.
Right. So would you say, okay, so if I'm like a silver player, all right? I've played 6 weeks of Echo or VRML or whatever, and I want to get better at fundamentals with my teammate. Is it better that we both play private separately, or that we just play like pubs, as amazing as we all know they are, or not? Is it better to play that together in your mind for better or more effective practice? Or I guess option 3 is like literally just being like, hey, want to spend half an hour in a private arena, just us, just like zipping around and throwing the disc and dribbling and whatever?
That's a hard question, honestly, because I'm not 100% sure. Like, I think this might be a hot take. I think pubs are more useful than people give them credit for.
Interesting.
Like, pubs are still worth playing, even just on your own, in my opinion. But playing with a teammate, like I play a lot of pubs with Jason, my backstack partner, pretty much. We play not every day, but pretty much close to. We go in, we just stack as much as we want, stack as much as we can, and just have fun. Like, it's kind of the point. Privates on your own, I don't like. It's gonna make you a better booster, yeah, but it's not gonna build that chemistry. It's not gonna build that, like, between you and your teammate. You're not gonna really figure out when to push and what your other teammate's thinking if you're playing with other people instead of them. Okay. And then around the arena, actually, there's something that this isn't really relevant now, but it was a thing that I know I did and a lot of people did when I was kind of learning, is the combat maps. The combat maps were like these mazes, and people would try to stack through all the tunnels, kind of winding all the way through, which is how I learned to boost, which is a lot of fun.
Do you think it's still worth it? Because with Spark, you can still pull it through, and then you can invite your questy friends. No, you can't, though.
It's worth it if you're both on CV1, but you wouldn't be able to play with any questies, which is
you would have to do PCVR.
Part.
You could, but you would have to use like AirLink or the Oculus Link.
But then the latency that it gets involved, and it's like,
then you get the latency advantages, and it becomes really weird.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So what I'm hearing from you is, especially for some of the newer folks that are just starting the stack, it sounds like play pubs, just try to play together with your stack partner and just get those repetitions in. Does that sound right? Pretty
much focus on just, I don't want to say never splitting your stack, but never split your stack. Okay. No matter where you are, just always be together. Okay.
So I was able to look through sort of the clips. I think the clip I was looking at is the one that we wanted to look at. I'm pretty sure it was the one that we wanted to look at. The main thing, I believe, let me make sure I got this right. And now I'm going to go and do something weird with it. Wait a second. Oh, wait a second. That might not be right. Actually, wait a second. The main problem now is that wasn't clipped. Now it's on YouTube. Now I got to make sure I got the timestamp right. Give me 1 second to pull that up. It should be frame. Let me just get that real quick. Yeah, it's 12/21/33. Okay.
So here's another question. So talking about stacks, so obviously you and Jason have been stacking together a long time, and I guess realistically it doesn't really matter in the end if you're having fun. As you say, that's the point of playing Echo, as much as some people would like to think otherwise. If you are a new team, okay, and you have 4 players, how would you determine stack partners? Would you determine it based off ping? Would you determine it based off of something else? Would you determine it literally based off like chemistry? Or do you think ping is more important or less important than people kind of give it credit for in terms of like stack and stack chemistry?
Ping is absurdly important in Echo, I'll be honest. But I don't think you should form a stack off of it. Like, at least the way I've only been on like 2 teams since preseason, so like it's kind of weird. But both the times, it's like I've always just played with whoever else wanted to be in that spot. Like on Ethereal, I've been playing backstack because when it was formed, we had Mozzie and Jiggy on the front stack, and they were already like together. So I'm like, all right, why not? I'll just be backstack, and that's kind of how that's gone. And my past team moves because I was playing up front, and we picked up Skyla, I think it was, and he was like, yeah, I'll play up front too, and I'm like, all right, let's go. It's basically that. If you have like no idea and you just a group of 4 people who are just kind of running into it, just go off chemistry. Just like, do you feel like you're boosting well with them? Because if you're already boosting well, then you have a head start in your stack.
Right. Cool.
Now,
cool. Yeah, it's always interesting because sometimes everyone always has their different hot takes on you always go with the people who have the closest ping together, right? Or maybe you have 4 people with vastly different pings, and it's like, okay, that means 2 people could stack really well, but then 2 people stack really poorly, and other people are just like, just go off feel. I'm a fan of the feel one, but I was curious if because I've heard lots of high level players also being like, Luke, you're an idiot, like don't do that, like pick ping, and I was like, I'm an idiot, but I stack better with Cool Whip, so whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. On that topic, there's definitely some people on my team that have better ping. I have better ping with that I would prefer not to stack with. I definitely have a preference on my team, 100%. It is not ping.
Oh, yeah.
100% not ping. I'm definitely gonna throw some shade later. It'll be fine. They can take it. All right. So one of the clip that I was actually wanted to look at. The reason I was mentioning this was like a defense, like a backstack clip, was actually just this one little sequence right here where they're able to get through like on a standard split. Right, but backstack is actually not in goal, even though they have it in a tunnel. Now it looks like they have an open shot, but they don't because you're stacked. You guys are both on boot, covering one of the pass. And the reason I was and you can see the stack sort of go back. You can see it more on the mini map than on the screen, I think. Right, and then you guys split up at that point. Again, one of the questions I have for you was like positioning as a backstack, and like why would you go to boot right there?
I'll actually break down this whole play just like, because I don't know what I was thinking this play, but I can tell you right now what I should have been thinking. It's like, all right, so we see like on the minimap, our front stack is kind of, I don't know how to describe, they're occupied at the moment. They're dealing with, they're stuck. So at best, it's a 2v3. So right now, we're playing on boot because if he tries to go for the cross low pass, we can grab that. And if he doesn't, then like, oh well, he's just going to continue to walk up. Once they reach like a certain point in the arena, we know that it's still a 2v3. They're not going to hit this pass. So Jason's going back to goal, and I'm kind of staying on his block. I'm pretty much trying to support any way I can in this 2v3. Like the overall goal here, we know we're not going to win a 2v3. That's not realistic. You're never going to win a 2v3. We're trying to buy time. That's all we're doing. We're buying time for our front stack to get back, which I believe... Watch this clip, and our front stack does get back in the nick of time and saves the play.
Yeah, they're coming back. They're
racing I'm still
back
playing.
Right, and
exactly.
That's done. Oh
yeah,
shoot.
They come
we
back.
buy
right
just
then.
enough time for our front stack to get back, and I don't know if we score off it, but it was a good play regardless.
I'm not gonna. We can watch the clip. You guys don't score. Should have scored, but you didn't score. You'll see why.
That feels good.
Yeah, right.
Right,
Yeah, well, I mean, you'll see what I mean.
Who was it? So I can flame. Shady.
Oh no!
I specifically wanted to cut off before that, but since we're talking about it,
That's unlucky.
all right. No, okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, right? Like I think a lot of people just go back and set up for defense like automatically, right? Like oh, they're about to push up. Okay, goalie go back. Defender get ready, right? But what I'm hearing you say is, especially on these situations with number disadvantage, like you're positioning to force them to walk it up.
Yeah. So if we went like back to goal immediately, they could have hit that cross low and just walked it from there and had the 2v2. If we sit on that block, we're kind of making them have to walk the entire arena instead of just hitting the pass.
Yeah, and you can
We're
see
buying
it.
those extra 3 seconds or so.
And
you can
those
see it
3
right there.
seconds can be alternatively defined as you're not forcing them to choose an option. You're giving them options, which in turn makes them slow down because they have to pick. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you didn't buy that a few seconds, the front stack wouldn't have come back just then, right there, right? Because they just come back
Exactly.
on the cut, right? Like
Yeah.
They get there in the perfect time. Yeah.
just on the nick of time. So, one of the main questions that I have for you on some of the stack defense was about positioning and about like where you should go. And again, what I'm hearing, in summary, if I understand correctly, is you want to make sure you're covering and stopping open threes, right? If the enemy team can make it, but otherwise you're being as aggressive as the enemy team allows you to be. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, as aggressive as the enemy team lets you, and how confident you are.
How confident?
Like if you know you can get back, then be more aggressive.
Now, one main question, I know Luke was talking about like, how do you practice stacks with your, as a stack, you talked about playing pubs. Did you ever do any drills or anything about regrabbing with your partner? Did you guys ever do anything specific or no?
Not on Ethereal. At least not that I can remember. I did on my team before this. It was Legends. We did a lot of drills and whatnot, but honestly, I don't like drills. I find them super boring and not really worth doing. Like if you're gonna drill, I'd rather just get a scrim and practice in real time.
So
And
I
just
love
go
that you
for
said
it.
that. So okay. So here's another question, and it might be another hot take from you, but another question where you have no experience in, but because players like you and teams like yours have been together for such a long time. Sure, back then, drills weren't that valuable because the bar was constantly being raised and still is. But now you're part of that bar. You're part of the bar raisers, right? So do you think that even though drills may not be fun, do you think that there still is a utility in them that's almost necessary for people who do want to get to your level and beyond in today's new meta that's constantly kind of evolving and pushing the limit and kind of accelerating as well? Or do you think it really is like 1 + 1 = play more, and it's never changed, and drills are still boring and they suck and it's not worth it?
I will say drills are still boring, but you're 100% right. Like just because I personally don't like it doesn't mean they aren't useful or worth doing. It's like if you're really wanting to focus on improving just your one thing, like your stack, then yeah, drill's definitely going to help you. It's going to speed up that, that learning process tenfold. I just don't like it because I get really bored of sitting in the arena and going back and forth. That's just me, though.
No, it's fair. I mean, it's totally fair. But right, yeah. But I also think it's partially because you're already so far there that of course, but like doing a scrim with your team is more beneficial because you have all the mechanical skills basically down packed, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to someone who may know how the game works in their head, but in the arena, they don't have they don't have the experience or the
and that's like the perfect example. If you're still learning like that and you're still getting the fundamentals, do drills. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So okay, this is a really interesting topic for me because I swear to God I've asked this question to like 20, 30 people already. I'm like, what drills do you like? And some of them are like, drills. I never do drills. I hate drills. Like you only ever scrim. But here's again, you mentioned it like it was like the last sentence you said, which is like if you need to work on your fundamentals, right? Drills are absolutely useful because they give you more opportunity to practice a very specific aspect of the game, right? But and I think this is where the level of players that we're interviewing or talking to is like their fundamentals are clean. Like they already, they know how to make their shot.
mechanically do everything you ever want to whenever you want to.
Yeah, Strem literally like on offense. I was like, what do you think about on offense? He was just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing because if I don't know what I'm doing, they don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's your plan? And I think he just said it, I think, partially as a joke, but partially as, like, for one specific instance of what we're watching, like a clip. But he's like, I have no idea what my offensive plan is. Like, because if I don't know, they don't know. And I'm like, that is amazing because because in my mind that's like unconscious competence. It's like these are players, they know so much about the game, like yeah, they don't even need to think about it. Yeah, I can pass, juke, and then just score. Like it's like easy, right? But I do want to say, in like bronze and silver tier players, even if you play scrims all day, you might not get the improvement you're looking for. Is all I'm saying.
I could say it. I remember this. I'll share an embarrassing factoid. When I first started playing VRML a year and a half ago, we were exactly that team. We were like, we heard so many high-level players who were like, just scrim more, and we're like, okay. And we would scrim so much. We lost every single scrim because we had no rollouts, we had no strategy, we had no stacks. We were just floating around the arena like idiots because we were, and we had no idea what we were doing. And we never got better. And we never got better until we started doing drills, and we started really like doing VOD reviews and being like, hey, like we suck. Why do we suck? But only until that point, just doing scrims didn't do us anything because we didn't have any of the fundamentals, mechanical or fundamental or game sense or anything, right? So I think it's a really good point, TTao, that you make that until you can truly say I hit 90% of my half courts, or I hit 90% of my passes, or I'm able to juke not at least 90% effectively, or whatever percentage you want to give yourself. It's really worth doing the boring stuff, doing the drills to get to that level, and then you can really focus on the team play aspect to then expand upon.
You actually made a good point when you were saying people recommending play more. I think that's actually a lot of high levels will just recommend you play more, because to them and like to players that have been in Master, have been in the top tiers for a while, whenever you say play more, they already know what they did wrong last. They already know what their mistakes are, so they're working on them without actually like thinking of what they have to focus going into a scrim. So to them, it's like, okay, yeah, like I'll give an example myself. Like I have been the worst at brawling for a while now, and this entire season I've just been going into like every scrim, but like, all right, I'm gonna just roll everyone. I'm gonna brawl out everyone in the game. And now, honestly, I think my brawling's second best on team. I'll still give it to KFC.
See, that's interesting because you have like the self-critical part of your brain that can immediately, after a play like you just got scored on or you just scored, and you're like, oh, okay, I sucked at this thing, and then next play you're already ready to improve it. Did I understand that right?
Exactly. That's what happens in pretty much all of our games. After we get scored, or after the round ends, we immediately go and like, all right, how did they score? Was it open threes? Let's put our backstack a little more passive. Was it just setting up in a lot of twos? Let's make sure we, don't let them set up, keep up the pressure, stuff like that.
Okay. Now, I know this sounds funny, and it's a little weird, but a lot of people watch these interviews, and they hear this advice. And I remember one of the first person I asked was actually Callan on Hivemon. I was like, "How does your team practice?" They're like, "We just scrim. Like we never do anything else. We straight up just pop in. Like, do you warm up? No, we just pop into a scrim." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. I should do that more." I want to mention, like, especially at lower levels, like if you start, I don't know, like, what's a good way? Go on Nest. Can you hit the open net? If you can't hit an open net on Nest, you need to drill your shots. I know, like, so I was like scrimming is not gonna help you if you can't hit an open net from like 5-6 feet away, like 5-6 meters away, not feet. That's the American right there. But yeah, so. Different advice was like 100% higher level, scrim all the time, do your thing, you know what to do, you got the mechanics down. If you're just starting the game and you re-grab and you go way the F up, and like you like, you know what I'm talking about, like the people that re-grab and you're like, you don't even see them on your screen anymore, and like
they're just somewhere over there.
They're out of your field of view. It's like, yeah, those things don't get fixed in the scrim, just letting you know. But if you're like, but if you got that base level of competency, right, where it's like, oh man, I panicked a little and I missed it, right, like those things 100% scrim, and like those are great. But all the new players, like, please don't watch this interview like your first month of playing and go like, yeah, I should just scrim all the time. just give me your heads up.
Find 3 players. Hey, people in pubs, want to join a team?
That's 100% how it is. Okay.
So okay, if you want to push us forward, you can, but I have one more. I have one more comment.
All right. Wait. Just throw shade all the time. I can't make my shot.
No shade.
100% shade.
But So, in kind of building that competency, to have the self-critical mind to then say, like, as you said in your example, single shot, where oh, they scored more open threes. Okay, let's have our stack a little bit farther back. Or on a lower level game, oh, they're scoring more. They're swinging a lot of cut passes. Let's make sure we're focused on that bubble defense to watch the open man and make sure we're calming that more, or whatever. In order to gain that kind of self-reflection ability, do you think that there is value in not team VODs, because most definitely there's value there from a team chemistry point of view, but also watching back your own gameplay, like to build up that skill? Because you said, for instance, previously you said you used to stream more, right? So doing a grand approximation, that wasn't when you're as good as you were today. At the end of season 5, being the second best center on your team, maybe the first, you just are a little bit too humble, But the point is, do you think watching back your own gameplay to kind of help you realize what mistakes you're making to make you more aware of something useful? Is it something you've ever done? Or do you think that it's, honestly just having your teammates like critique you and you critique them is just as useful as watching it back?
100%. You watching your own gameplays, probably the best thing you can do for yourself, just as a player in general. It's going to be significantly harder to figure out what you did wrong if you don't know what you should have done right in like a similar situation in the past. It's like, I've known players that will record every private, every scrim, like everything from their point of view, and meticulously watch everything. Like, even it's just like something that's not even related, just so they can find like a hint of something to improve. It's like, that's the kind of mindset you need to get if you want to be like super critical and improve really fast.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, it's VOD review, and like sort of one of the main reasons we're sort of doing this show. In my mind, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with like the levels of competency, and in my mind, it's like this is coming from like a sports background, where it's like there's like 4 stages, very simple. It's like unconscious, incompetent. You suck. You don't even know you suck. Like, these are the people who are like I am a pro. I can be a pro baseball player if I just put effort into it. It's like, no, you can't. Now, next is like conscious incompetence, where like you suck, and then it's like conscious competence, where you're starting to get good, and then finally it's like unconscious competence, where like you don't even have to think about it. That's like the highest level, where like people are just in the zone, right? Like, they're just doing it, and they don't even have to think about it. So in my mind, it's like the VOD review is really good at helping that unconscious incompetent, where like people don't even know they're making those mistakes. And it's like watching the VOD review from third person in slow-mo, in a different perspective. In my mind, like that's where it's really useful, right? Where like you become aware of things you did not know before. And I am okay. So one of the main things actually I want to talk about before we're talking about a lot of stuff. There's one thing that we talked about even in the beginning of the interview that I want to discuss. Since we're talking about VOD reviews, we're talking about all these like different plays, and because Luke was mentioning about jousts, I want to talk about Ethereal's joust, which is the standard split. Like it's the standard split, right? Can we take a look at one of those clips, and then can you walk us through how a master team is using a standard split and going so well with it? Does that sound good? Can we do that?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that, because blows. Okay, so as you can see, coming out of tube, right? So
Make sure you update.
Right. I am. Yep. I got to change screen. I apologize. See, this is why I have a co-host. Thank you. Okay, so again, standard split, left, right, and I believe this sequence, yeah, you're able to convert and get through, right? So I believe still able to recover. I think you guys still score on this play. But,
yeah, we do score on this.
Yeah, but like just walk us through, as you're talking about joust, especially we're talking about newer players. I know Sir Dimwee did a fantastic job with his 3-minute meta series, and one of the most popular plays in the game is a standard split, right? Like you see it a lot in pubs, right? Oh, left, right, and like trench or something. Like walk us through Ethereal's standard split.
It like you said, it's the most common play. It's literally the most basic play in the entire game, and we've been running it pretty much as our sole play for 3 seasons. It's I don't know why. We kind of just started doing it when we were forming the team back like at the beginning of season 3, and we've only ran that since. The only time we ran plays this season, off the top of my head, was we ran like a few relays in finals, and that's it. Every other time it's just been split. Because like in my mind, why run anything else if you have a play that's, I don't want to say like uncounterable is the wrong word, but if you can adapt to any defense with the most simple play, why not run it? It's like, it's the most unpredictable play because it's not a relay. You're not locked into that one. It's not base high. You're not locked into going above the cloud. It's, I can push over. I can throw it to KFC across, and if he's unpressured, he can just walk up. Or the same thing, he can hit me across.
So, okay. So, now one thing that you're doing a little bit different from, a lot of standard split in lower levels is the fact that you have the fourth person invert onto ceiling towards what looks like the top of valley, right? The right and mid. Okay. So, so walk us through it. Is the position set when you come out of the tube? Like, because right now on this one, I believe you go to station. Yeah, go to station.
I went station here because I remember their stack was super aggressive, and if I went tunnel wall, they would pick the path every time. So I'm like, I'll go a bit closer and allow me to dodge in the block a bit better.
Okay. So it sounds like so there's like small variations though. It's like most of the time you're going to wall, but sometimes you can go to station. But again, you're staying roughly in that area.
Yeah.
Right? So once you okay, so once you get it, walk us through one of the main difficulties I've noticed in the standard split is getting it right through mid. Like there's like a lot of choke, like especially if the enemy team is playing like a good stack defense, like when we get it at station, at wherever it is, people tend to get like stuffed right inside that tunnel. Can you tell us a bit about like how do you move it through tunnel?
That's actually going to be the ironic part. Is for us, counting a stack defense is very easy. We've had issues with man, ironically.
Okay.
But to counter a stack defense, it's all about communication. Like, I need to know if I'm able to hit. Do I go for the reset? Like, is that stack pass? Which is usually my de facto, or usually my go-to play is if they're playing super stack heavy, I'm hitting back. Just because it's that safe. It's that, like, you're going back to neutral, then you can push up again. Or if that's covered, then usually my next option is KFC. Because hitting that deep pass is always so risky. Just because of how aggressive your middle player is usually playing.
So do you rarely hit that middle player?
Honestly, yeah. I just based off how I play, I barely am either in the angle or usually have the idea of hitting the super deep player. I know KFC does a lot because usually he's always our play usually ends up going to me first, then to KFC, and then usually to the mid. That's just generally how it works out with how defenses have been played against us. So we usually always have the second pass go for the deep guy. If he's open, of course.
Right.
Okay. So, okay. As you mentioned about like the difficulty with man defense, why is that? Can you tell us a bit about like what's going on with man defense?
It's actually pretty funny.
It's sharing all the secrets of Ethereum, by the way.
Oh yeah, I got you. Basically, the main reason we're having issues is Jason, our QB, is bad under pressure. Oof. So if it's a stack, he can play, but if he's like panicking and everything's covered, he'll end up like hitting a wall or something, and we always like tease him about it. Because he'll throw it like into the block right in front of him, and then they'll just end up getting a pick off man.
Oh, okay.
Ironically, the funniest part.
Okay, so all the other teams that Masters are playing versus Ethereum start running man deep. No, I'm joking. Oh man, that's funny. Okay.
No, that's legitimately how it was in season like 4. Like every time we would play Oceans, they would only go man against us, and it would stuff us at least like 4 or 5 times a game.
Oh man,
It gave them so many points.
Wow. Okay. Now we know. But again, so one of the main things that I'm hearing, because a lot of players, especially when they're new, they want to know like the playbook, and they want to be like, hey, I want to know the 10 best offensive plays. Like, give me a Cloud 9 reset into a shovel play, like all that stuff. And it's like there's tons of weird stuff. But what I'm hearing from you is like if you can play it well, right? Even with small variations, like a standard split will be able to carry you through pretty much any kind of defensive joust.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
It's all about just knowing your fundamentals. It's about playing your basics, and if you play those perfectly, you can't lose.
Okay.
So I want to add some color to what you said, TTao. So I agree with it. I think the asterisk next to it is that it's not a standard split. Because what SingleShot's really saying, in my opinion, from fundamentals, is that it's a standard split in such that I believe single shot goes right, KFC goes left, Jason is back, right, JDG is deep. But it's not a standard split as in like on your silver team, you know, you have I always go right near wall, right? It's more so I go somewhere on the right side, and based off my experiences on the right side that I've had so far against the other team, based off my previous experiences playing this game, I then might go trap, or you know, I might flip and I might go on the you know the slant that's right above tunnel. Like, you know, you might go into a weird spot, but it's not having the Cloud9 upside down triple shovel play, but it's knowing that how you can counter yourself to counter the other team, as opposed to countering your team's play against the other team's play. I'm not sure if that makes it more clear or less clear, but it makes it more clear in my head.
So let me see if I can clarify too. What I'm hearing, Luke, you're bringing it up, is like, it sounds like KFC and the cross paths don't always end up in the same position when they go through tunnel, right? It sounds like there's no set position, like, okay, you're always going under route.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically relying on him to tell me where he is in that moment, so I can turn around and just throw it.
Okay. Yeah, so again, what I'm hearing is it starts off with a left-right high, but then it's all about reading the enemy play, where they are, and like exploiting vulnerabilities. Does that sound about right?
Exactly, yeah. That's pretty much perfect.
Okay, yeah. And it's not, and again, so that's the difference between that and a standard split, where it's like you go to left side wall, I go to right side wall, and the other person goes underneath root cross side every single time, right? It's like that's the standard split, right? And it's like, and what we're hearing is, yes, it starts similar, but really it's the fundamentals, right? And if you're playing that well, then you get it through. Does that sound? Am I getting your point, Luke? Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say, and that's what I've been hearing from single shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And the reason in my mind it was like the standard split. It was just like the initial positioning of it. But even single shot's mentioning, right? Like when you start the play, single shot is going to station because of the aggressive enemy stack, and like that's that adjustment that's happening that's not really happening at lower level, where it's like, oh, I got stuffed in tunnel like 5 times. All right, hit me in tunnel one more time. It'll be different on the 6th try. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I really said that because I remember when I first started casting back in season 3, and I would cast master tier matches, and I was still, you know, maybe I was silver. You know, I probably was still in bronze at the time, and I was like, man, like, I'm watching Spaghetti. I know it was season 4, but nevertheless, you know, I remember watching them. I'm like, man, they do a split every single time. Like, we were that team. We had like 8 plays, and we were like, and I was like, guys, we don't need 8 plays. Spaghetti does the same thing every single time. But the reality is they didn't, right? And I never really noticed that nuance. I always saw them go left, right, center, but it really was, as single shot was saying, thinking about, okay, this happened, so I did this. That happened based off of what I did, so I did this other thing. And being kind of that small dynamicism within the players themselves on a team. So yeah, anyway, I just thought that was really fascinating. I'm honestly going to carry that forward and try some stuff.
I was the exact same way, dude. On my first actual team, we had a Google like slideshow of like 20 plays that we would go through. And just kind of like back when we were starting, and it was just like we had one for every situation.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, dude, I have slideshows too. You know, like with the picture of like the arena with like
we had like the arrows colors.
And we had a dotted line for where the disc is supposed to go.
Oh dang.
Right? The players are solid color lines. A disc is a dotted white line. That's right.
Yeah.
And it didn't do jack shit. We don't really do those plays anymore. All right. So, okay. Okay, on this topic, right? Okay, so single shot. We're going to pick your brain for a second, okay? Give us, what are some of the most common adjustments you make during the standard split?
Ooh, good question.
Usually, like, I'll start off by going to, like, the X on the wall. Everyone knows where that is. And if it's, like, if I see Jason kind of playing slow, then I'm going to kind of creep back and kind of go towards the trap, towards the lower diamond there. If he's trying to push it super aggressive and he's like up in mid, then I'm going to that like, what do you call it? The little like bar between in tunnels where you have kind of the top. Table. Yeah, I'll go like there if he's super aggressive but hasn't thrown it yet. Other than that, I'll generally kind of just keep my way through tunnel. Like the only adjustments I made in this play wasn't actually because I noticed the stack off the bat. It was because they hit me last play. and they would pick they pick the disc off. So I'm like, I'm definitely not letting that happen again. So I'm gonna go here because I know this is safe. Most of the adjustments come like after I've seen an issue, whether or not the team exploited it or not.
Okay. So I'm hearing like so one of the main things is the initial positioning, right? You might change that. And then depending on how fast the cross person is going, you're going to adjust your play. Does that sound
The
right?
cross person and the QB mainly.
QB. Okay, QB. Okay, so
Yeah, so like if our QB Jason is
okay.
trying to push the play super fast, like if I feel that I get that vibe from him, I'm gonna try to just go more forward where you can hit me rather than on the wall.
Okay. Is that communicated beforehand, or is it you're just watching them come out of the tube?
Not really communicated. It's more just kind of knowing. Either he's gonna tell me or I just kind of know based off playing all the splits for the past few seasons.
And just keeping your head on a swivel, I presume as well.
100%.
Okay. And then in terms of moving your pathing, right? Do you normally go through the side of tunnel? Do you try to go somewhere different? Like, how do you normally path through mid if you get the disc?
If I get the disc, I try to stick towards like the tunnel, like the sidewall of it. So at least I always have like somewhere to anchor on if someone push me. But usually, if I somehow miraculously I get through tunnel and no one's pushing me, then like I'm just gonna keep following that sidewall all the way up to like Pac-Man, because you always want to stay next to something. Because that way, at least you have a way to respond if someone pushes you by juking on the wall or anchoring or doing something like that.
For sure. Okay. I'm hearing like stay close to Geo, stay anchored. Any moment you can go for the juke, right? Now that's one of the things I think we don't see at a lot of the lower levels, where they'll get the disc and they just float right through mid, like towards goal. Like they go from tunnel like through mid with
to the back of the net. Let's go.
yeah, they're going straight. Like they don't touch station, they don't touch wall. It's just a straight line from tunnel to goal. And I'm hearing you say it's like go along the wall, go along the geos, so that you're not as vulnerable, right? Okay, cool. In terms of all this, I think we took a look at most of the clips. I think we have. Let's take a look at one more clip I want to discuss, which is Ethereal's bubble offense, right? We talked about defense, we talked about joust, we talked about front stack and back stack. I want to take a final look at the Ethereal, bubble offense. We'll talk about that just for like a few minutes, and then we'll transition to something else, okay? So this is Ethereal. See, Jason has disc. And you can see some really clean passes across and back to single shot, going back underneath. There's a bit of a juke and right down to bottom pocket. Okay, so one of the main questions I had for this clip was, so you get disc here, you throw it cross, and he just gets it right back to you, right? One of the questioning is, how do you guys position for bubble offense? Like, what are you thinking about when you're about to attack that bubble?
I think that's standard split, but just like in their goal. Like I'm always going to be on that right side. That's kind of where I enjoy playing. You're always going to have KFC pushing from the left, or he generally likes under the goal. With JDG, we've had him on our team for a few weeks just because of subs and whatnot happens. He's always kind of been on the top, or he's like flashy going from shoulders and whatnot. It's that same play. We keep that same, like, I don't want to say formation, but that same style all the way up the field, where it's like that 3 lanes just spread out.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like Ethereal's running where it's like you have the right wing, left wing, and like deep guy. It's like that kind of mentality. I'm not sure if if you heard that one before. I know Venom.
I haven't heard that, but I know what you mean vaguely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember watching Venom video like a year and a half ago. He was just like in a position like you're left striker, you're right striker, and what I'm hearing is like on Ethereal it sounds like you're gonna stay on the right side the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
The only time we'll really swap up is if like we're really trying to break a bubble defense and we're kind of just running around the bubble trying to bring any defender anywhere. Okay. That's like the only time we'll really change up.
Okay. So I guess kind of coming full circle with that, then how do stacks work? So you went for an offense and for whatever reason, it didn't work. Okay? So are you finding your stacks based off of you always stack with Jason, for instance? Or is it you always stack with the front person, back person? Like, I presume obviously it's more dynamic than that. So, kind of what's in your head when you're trying to stack back and you're in kind of those, let's say in a worst case scenario, you really are truly spread out, like, KFC's deep bubble, you're right, he's left and Jason's back, and you're kind of like, okay, shit, we need to rotate back. What happens?
Usually, if it's like a really panicky scenario, we'll just go for the closest person, which, I mean, isn't exactly a great answer, but it's kind of what happens. If it's like, if we're having a hard time breaking into a bubble, we'll generally kind of set up in like a big square. So it'll be like Jason on left Merc, I'm on right Merc, and then you have the 2 front players just somewhere up the field, usually in that same kind of lane. So that way, if anything goes bad, me and Jason are like 2 feet apart from each other. So we grab and instantly go back. And then same thing for the front guys. They're always super close, since it kind of keeps that square pattern.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So I'm hearing that one, you already have a idea, like a formation in mind, even as you approach the bubble, right? Like your right side, the other person's left. You already have that formation. And then if there's a turnover, you have a general idea of where your teammate's going to be already. Is that correct? Okay. So it's never really a situation where like you have no idea, like are you keeping your head on a swivel and looking, or is it more like you already know where they're gonna be?
It's both. Really. Like in my head, I could probably position every one of my teammates and they'd be in like that general area without even me having to look there.
Okay.
But yeah, of course you want to turn and actually just double check. Otherwise, you're just gonna float off on your own.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm hearing like that. Like those general positioning. So this is something that's happening in my team where like, yo, where you at? Like we're like in moment. You're looking at it like, yo, why are you like on like left popcorn? Like, what I mean? Like, what? Why are you there? But what I'm hearing is you guys have like, is it that you guys played together for a while and this is sort of something that developed naturally, or is it something that was on purpose where you're like, okay, this is my general position?
It did come from just running split, thousands and thousands of times. We've just had so many like successful offenses that we just end up in that position.
Okay.
It wasn't like we came into a call and we're like, all right, I'm always gonna stick to the right side,
Okay.
It just sort of happened.
Okay.
So as part of that, obviously in the end of the clip there we saw everyone collapsing on the goalie and on the bubble, which of course is what you need to do. But if you're in that kind of square formation and you, for whatever reason, are able to draw out, 2 defenders and you just go 2-on-1, 2-on-1.5 or 2-on-1, dive in the bubble, is it fair to say that Jason and I guess you, who's also kind of farther back, like literally just like kind of stays out of the play, so that even if you are collapsing bubble, you're kind of always going to go for that one extra pass? And that's kind of where, because I'm trying to string together, like, you always hear, oh man, like, back when Gang's glory days, you're always like, oh man, that one extra pass, that was just beautiful. Or whenever I'm casting a match, and I think even when I was casting this match against Oceans, there were so many times, and you think maybe in this play where you guys get that one extra pass, and the goalie therefore has no chance, right? And that's going to go in 99.9% of the time. Does that come from like, I am the back player, therefore KFC probably needs to score, not because he's KFC or because I can't, but because that one extra pass like is just more potent coming from him, or a pass then one more back for then you to get it, which I think happens here. So like, does that question make sense? Like, is it positioning first, or is it like just
I see the question. It's basically like, we wouldn't really pass based off like who's there. I'm not gonna pass to someone on backboard just because it's Jason. Like,
no, of course. I mean, because they're on the backboard is kind of my point.
Yeah, we always go for, at least the ideal situation is we would always go for like the highest percentage shot, which is a term that's been thrown around a lot. Like, someone on top, like the top of the goal, ready to dunk it. Like that's a guaranteed goal. That's always gonna be like pass taken. If it's like, if you have 2 people cutting from like both boots or both L's, whatever you want to call them, and they're just kind of going in a parallel line, that's like it's a 50-50. It's whether or not the person shooting it is more confident taking the shot or passing it.
Right. Okay, cool. So yeah, I didn't mean obviously like, oh yeah, if you're on the backboard they'll pass you, but if I'm on the backboard, screw that guy. No, of course it's a high percentage play, but it really is coming from so like you really are tangibly thinking like, am I more likely to score or not, as opposed to, because I really am coming from the perspective of, you know, a lot of players get too caught up in like, oh, I'm the striker, I
Yeah.
need to score the goal,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
right? And, you know, of course, and that's again so far removed from the level that you're used to playing at that that's not a consideration. No one cares whether you have 10 points on the
Yeah.
board or 0 points. Like no one cares. All that matters is are we playing well as a team or not, right?
Mhm.
Even if every goal was to Chicago, it doesn't matter. We're up 10 points. Congratulations, team, right? So that's kind of the perspective I'm kind of coming at with. So it really is like that one extra pass comes from, do I have the best opportunity
Yeah.
to get that goal in? Or if
Mhm.
the answer is no, then I need to be passing the disc regardless of how good I think I may be and regardless how bad I think that other person may be in at least
Mhm.
in a priv or a match or a scrim or something like that.
Yeah. In the perfect world, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Which,
Okay.
if you've ever had the pleasure of playing Ethereal in a scrim, it's never the perfect world.
Yeah. Okay. What I'm hearing also from Luke is like it's like a hard carry on the team. It's like, you know, like especially at lower levels, like there's like one jukey boy, and you're like, give them the disc. Always give them the disc. Is that sort of what you're talking about as well, or no?
Yeah, like it really. That's my point. My point is that I think basically what SingleShot's saying, and I'm agreeing, and I agree. You know, I just want it to come from him. Is that you know
Of course, it's about.
it's not about someone being better or worse or anything like that. It really is all about the team, right? And if you're able to position yourself so that you have the higher percentage shot, or you're positioned really well to have a higher percentage pass that leads to a higher percentage shot, is more important than having a really flashy goal or being that jukey boy or anything like that. Yeah, I forget why that I got informed by that, but that's all I was trying to get at. Yeah.
So okay, yeah, okay. What I think I'll sort of paraphrase to make sure if I understand this correctly. So single shot, it's not like you got one dude on the team. You're always passing to that dude because you know they can score, right?
Yeah. No, we're definitely not.
I think you can all score, and I think that's settled. So okay, I actually have a really good question for you, which is you talked about high percentage shots, right? Can you tell us what are the most dangerous positions in the game? Where do you think it's like the highest percentage conversions?
I'll speak this in form of like we're on bubble defense. The places I'm most worried about is actually like as a defender, I'm most worried about like shield and anything coming from front. But if you mean just in general, then on the rim is the strongest position in this game for sure.
So on the rim, right? On someone on shield, right? If they're if they're not covered and they get it on shield, it sounds like that's a very dangerous spot, correct?
You always want to try to force the cuts from the other team in like the off angles. You want them coming from like pillar at the very least, because like anything coming from the front is very, very dangerous. Because you can just slap it and it has like a super high chance to go in just because of how close you are to the goal.
Yeah. So the person coming in from the front. Now, one thing that's really interesting is, so I believe Sugar from Rusty Robots. Oh, so we did an interview with Shrem and Ender, and I believe Sugar Fluff from Rusty Robots. I'm making sure I got their name right, but someone from Rusty Robots, they asked like, what do you do about someone on backboard? Like if they get disc and they're on backboard, right? I would love to hear from you. When we asked Ender and Shrem, their answer was they score, and I'm like really, like okay, so like I would just love to hear from your take. It's like because you mentioned the shield, right, and on rim. How do you deal with a person on backboard?
Honestly, Ender and Shrem are in the right mind. If someone's on backboard and they already have disc, good luck. Like the best you can do as another defender is, on the off chance they take a pass, cover those lanes. Like you're kind of preying on the goalie being better than them.
Okay.
And like that's actually even true for someone on the backboard, at least for us, on the backboard without the disc. Like if someone's on the backboard above goal, I'm basically gonna tell Jason, hey, there's a guy behind you above, he's your problem. And I'm going off to cover someone else.
Yeah. Okay. So backboard, goalie should cover backboard and be able to intercept the pass. That's one.
Yeah.
But if they get the pass off, then it's just a skill matchup, 1v1.
It's not even a fair skill matchup because of all the space on backboard. You're basically accepting the 2-pointer.
Okay, yeah, okay. So what I'm hearing is the same thing. If they're uncontested, they get it clean on backboard, you're done.
It's GG, yeah. They get the free goal.
Okay, so if they're on if you're on backboard, talking about high efficiency plays, what is the high efficiency play from backboard? Is it a dunk? Is it a reverse dunk, like diving in and then going from the other side? Is it literally diving straight for goal? Is it just doing anchor shot? Like, what is in your opinion, like, is it all
In
the
my
above?
mind,
Does it matter? Like,
honestly, it probably doesn't matter at the surface level, but in my mind, I'd probably move around on backboard a bit to bait out one of the defenders that's gonna jump you because people panic and they're always gonna jump someone on backboard. You can dodge that guy because of all the room you have to move around, and then you grab rim from there because it's, that super close distance, and then just spin and dunk it, do something cool, I guess.
You can see there's a bit of juki right there on the backboard, and when the goalie's stunned, just dunk it in there, right? Okay, so I think that covers a lot of the clips we wanted to watch. There is now, in terms of the segments, I want to go into, we normally do like a Steez of the Week, which is we take a look at one play that was really cool from this past like 7 days. We'll take a look at that, and then we have some community files. So hopefully we'll be able to get through everything within the next like 15-ish minutes and just get some tips from Single Shot. Does that sound good?
That sounds sick. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so in terms of the play that I want to look at, I believe it's okay. This is the play we're gonna take a look at. This is from EU, Typhon versus Koi, and the reason this is such a sick shot, you can see it. It's contested. There's like 4 or 5 people right there on the top. They're fighting for it. He gets it in tunnel, crawls through, takes the shot.
oh,
Ooh, that's so clean.
yeah.
Top pocket, dude. This is from Senna on Koi. As you can see how many, I think the whole team, there's like 7 people there, right? Only goalie on blue side is not there. There's 7 people there. Fight, juke, move it across. You see that ender, small quick ender, and then just a laser from half court, from the top of the tunnel, like top pocket. Clean. Amazing play. So that's the Steez of the Week. And on that note, now we're going to take a look at some bronze gameplay. We're going to take a look at, from Enchiridion, we're going to be taking a look at some of their plays. This is a submission from the community. We're mainly taking a look at Orange Team. We're going to take a look at, the main questions that we have is, one is taking no angle shots. So as you mentioned, right, getting the disc on backboard, right? We'll take a look at this specific instance where they're able to get disc and they're close to backboard, but now they take a very, you'll see what I mean. So they get disc, and I believe it's a bit of a slap, right? They get a pass back, it's on backboard, right? But then they float forward and take a no angle shot, right? It's literally no angle, and it goes wide. So talk with us a bit about that. Like, if you're floating and you get the disc on that top of net, right? Like right above, like on the top of backboard, pretty much, right? Like what do you think they should be doing instead of, floating forward and taking that shot from, like straight above and there's literally nothing?
In my mind, in this position, like, he has the guy on shoulder, right? And the goalie's already turned around. If he hits that guy's shoulder, that's a free goal because the goalie's not even looking in that direction. Like, that would be the theoretical best play in this spot.
Okay, so if you're there, you're looking for the open pass right there on shoulder, right? Right there. Open on shoulder.
Yeah, there's no one there's no blue people in the entire area. Like, he has the freest walk.
And I think also what's worth noting, just to point out the obvious, just in case, is that just because you're on backboard doesn't mean that you have the highest percentage play.
Of course.
Because
that's something that's super underrated, is taking a pass from backboard. Because anytime you're on backboard, everyone's panicking because, like we were talking about earlier, it's a guaranteed goal. If you have someone cutting from front on backboard, it's basically just, like, not unnecessary, but it's like you want to turn that, like, 99.9 into 100.
Right. Absolutely. And also, I'm not going to throw any shade on these teams. These are great players. These are amazing people that are trying to get better and working on it. This is definitely on that, like, bronze/silver level. I believe they got into silver at a point.
I think they did as well.
Right, and credited, right?
Good for them.
I believe so. So they're in that silver gameplay. So again, we're not expecting, mechanical perfection. But what I'm hearing is during some of these bubble offense, if you're open, you need to call for that pass, especially that person on shoulder, right? Whether the person can see you or you call for the pass, now they have a straight drive into goal. That's what I'm hearing. Is that right? Okay. Perfect. Now let's take a look. We're going to take a look at one of the offensive plays they have. And they actually do a really good offensive sequence. But goalie just gets a great stop. And I would just love to hear from you what are your thoughts on how they could have gotten that better, right? They're able to get that pass.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they were going for that pass for that person right underneath net. And the goalie was able to dive out, which is a fantastic save by the goalie, right? Pass underneath.
That was a very good save on his part, yeah.
So, let me sort of slow this down and see if I can play back. Speed, slower. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go slower. So give me some of your thoughts. How would you recommend?
The first thing, this may not be the first point, but the first thing I see is everyone's kind of floating. Like we were talking about earlier, try to stick near Geo. Because after that first guy hits his pass, he's kind of just floating towards the wall. He gets a grab there. He has a better cut. This guy, instead of going for the pass low, he has that guy kind of lining up for top dunk. So if he kind of stays on the L block there for like a half second more, he can allow his teammate to set up there, and he can get the top dunk pass really easily.
Okay.
That would probably be the best scenario, I think.
Yeah. Okay. What I'm hearing is, again, that staying anchored, like what you were talking about, like on that play, don't just float right at goal, move along the right side wall on those standard split. What I'm hearing is like be anchored during these plays and move in from there rather than float through the top. Does that sound right?
Exactly.
Okay. Luke, you want to add in on any? You want to add in on any of this, by the way?
No, I think Single Shot knows what he's talking about.
Perfect. And then I think we have one more I want to take a look at, and it'll be pretty quick. I believe it's a 1950. Yeah. So last play, this is just the goalie able to. So there is a play by Blue, right? He throws, and it's a miss, and goalie was able to recover, right? So in this moment when goalie recovers, he threw the clear, but the clear didn't end up going through. Orange was able to recover the disc, right? But the question, here for you is, once the goalie is able to get that pickup, on defense, right? What are your thoughts? Like, what are some of the best play? Like, what's the best way to move the disc up once the goalie's able to recover the disc?
This is actually something that Ethereal struggled with in the past. We are very bad about just blindly kind of throwing the disc and banking on us being faster. That really screwed us over, like last season and the start of this season. And the best thing you should do is, like, you have a bit of time. Like, as he's floating to the wall, there's two guys, I believe, like, near the goal. They should already be stacking and already being flying down the field, telling the goalie, like, which is the best spot to clear it in. So, like, if they're all practically on top of each other right now, they should get a stack, be like, all right, let's go left tunnel. The goalie throws the left tunnel. They catch it before it even gets near a wall, so you don't have to deal with the clear issue.
So what's your opinion on outlet passes? So if we wanted to define what you just described as like ghost passing, so like passing to a place before the stack is there, what outlet passing being like, I'm now, as opposed to, I don't know, I'm anchored cross low right now on floor, and I'm a pass you hit first before the clear. Do you think there's value there, or do you think there's a certain point where kind of passing to the stack is just always better?
As long as, if the outlet pass isn't covered, then yeah, always take it. It's like you get the way I see it is you have a better angle on the clear the further downfield you are. So if someone's like, in this play, they even have the guy that's kind of nest or bow tie area. You could go to him for the pass, and then he's got like a better angle, so he's got less chance of hitting a random block. And that stack can still go downfield. They'll just get the second pass instead of the first.
Okay. So I'm hearing once defense is able to get that turnover, most of the time you can take a second, right? Like it's yes, we see that the blue is starting to push the disc holder, but even then, it's not. You don't need to slap it on these turnovers, right? And I'm also hearing that once you hear there's a turnover, start looking for the stack and start being ready to go downfield. Whether it's you're staying on your half and getting ready for the pass, and then you can transition like the outlet pass and moving it up, or calling out your location for those clears. But what I'm hearing is that the moment there's a turnover, start looking for your friendlies and start stacking up. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yeah. So like as you can see right here, right there, the two players are. There's one person on goal, and I believe one person like right next to backboard. They're close to each other, but they don't actually stack up. Yeah, they're on ramp. Okay, now
Yeah.
they stack up, right? Like
Yeah,
there's-
they stack up as like the disc passes popcorn or whatever you want to call the block there.
Exactly.
So like, if they're stacked, like if they stack as soon as the goalie gets that, then they're there before the other team is, and they can probably score off that.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, if you can pass it up to someone that's further up the field, higher percentage chance of the clear getting through. And in this situation, we can see that they slightly miss. It was so close, it just hits like the top of the tunnel and it bounces down. Versus if the person were on to get it on nest or to get it further up, they might have a much easier shot to clear. Is that correct?
Yeah, or even in the perfect world, you end up just forming like what you would call outlet passes all the way down. Like you would go the guy to nest, and then the stack would boost up, split, and then you would have like basically an impromptu relay. It would go nest to up, and then you maintain that control and not need to take the risk of forming a stack.
Perfect. So if you were to give some advice to Enchiridion, what I'm hearing is one, like on those offense, try to stay anchored, right, and like move up rather than float. And also what I'm hearing is to form stack on those turnovers as soon as you can. Is that about right?
That advice could honestly be applied to every team in the league, no matter what ranking you are. Is just be like really conscious of what's going on, be very deliberate. Like if you have that quarter second before the guy pushes you, that's a quarter second you can take to make a better play instead of just rushing to get something working.
Absolutely. And as Luke was mentioning about the outlets, like if you can pass it to someone rather than just panic clearing, they have a much better chance of it actually getting through rather than just like, I got it, whip it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So that covers a lot of the 3 plays and some of the questions that we have. We still do have some community questions that are just like, some little things for you. Let me transition over to interview with guests. Perfect. So there's one question which I'm not even sure how much is trolling me, but it's fine. We'll go and ask. So Q Zona asks, why is single shot so sexy? So can you
It's for sure the workout routine.
yeah, can you let us know why you're so sexy?
You have to play Echo minimum 4 hours a day, and there you go.
4 hours a day.
Okay.
That's 4 hours a day Echo. That's
minimum.
That's the minimum.
And you have to wear your headset for an extra 6, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Just go throughout your day with pass through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You become one with your technology.
That's right. One of the other questions was, I believe, from Spike and TTao, and they were asking. Let me just pull up this question real quick. Give me 1 second. One of the questions they were having is like, as you're in Masters and you're so high up, what are something you picked up in Masters that you wish you knew earlier?
Knowing what you can do. Like, I know it's gonna sound weird, but it's like, know what your limits are. Don't just throw it and take the 1 in 50 chance that it goes in the goal, rather than maybe hitting your teammate to the side who have a better angle or something like that. Something along those lines. Know what your limits are.
Know what your limits are. Okay. And what I'm hearing is those limits. It's like what you were talking about, like high percentage shots, right? Like what are you successful with and what are you not with, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. One other question. This is a question from a little while ago. This is in TTao again. I believe Nexus and all of them were asking some of these questions. One question is, what do you think is like the future of Echo, like competitive and like esports in VR? Like, where do you think the league's gonna go? Where do you think they're gonna find success? Where do you think they're gonna find some like traps and pitfalls in terms of the competitive and like pro scene?
That's a really good question, because I haven't thought about that much. I know there's like some rumors and whatnot going on about VRML doing some cool stuff, which, if it happens, then that's sick. And, if not, then we continue with this on. I know there's been some, like, I don't want to say disappointment, but like some disdain. Like, some players aren't happy with the way that like prizes are and how Masters being handled. Some people think it's like Masters too big. Like, I think all these problems are just kind of gonna get bigger and bigger as this league grows. At least until someone says something, or like someone from VRML like comes out and says, "Hey, we don't think Mastery's too big. We're gonna, and here's why, etc., etc., stats, whatnot."
Okay.
Something like that.
So if I understand you correctly, it's like you think like the next step is like some kind of like some kind of PR where they start addressing these rumors flying around in the community that are like not being addressed currently.
Yeah.
Cool. Very, very cool. And then I think that covers, I think, all the community questions I want to ask you right now. I still have a question for you, which is, in terms of, like based on sort of what we talked about today, it sounds like would you recommend standard split for players that are new, that are like just starting the game? Would you say that?
Or do you build a PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, like for newer players that are just starting, would you say just get on the grind, play, do this play, or how would you recommend people that are new starting out?
I think it's plays are a good thing when you're starting out because you kind of you can understand the benefits of a relay's meant to get past the defense and score super fast. Like everyone on your side is meant to just slow the play down. Like you can't really transition those effects into a standard split until you have that experience with those plays. So yeah, I'd 100% recommend building your slideshow, building your playbook out. And, maybe slowly cutting back or just, run split. Maybe you're crazy and only want to do that. Go for it.
Okay. So if I understand this correctly, and this is some high-level stuff, which I don't think a lot of people are talking about, which is run the different plays and understand the effects of those plays. For example, if relay is supposed to get past that defense fast, a chain breaker or something like it starts to slow it down, start to brawl out the stacks. But once you know the principles of those plays, you can start incorporating them into something like a standard split, where now it becomes much more variable, right? Am I hearing that correct? Yeah. It's you get the effects from these plays because you understand them, rather than just going this is just a position. It's okay, why am I in that position? Because you're trying to, for example, why would you go to station? Oh, because now there's no straight line from enemy stacks, so now they have to go around station. It's okay, you can start incorporating that into a split because of the knowledge and the understanding that you have. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's the more plays you try, the more plays you throw in, you're just going to gain more knowledge and more things you can apply to your current plays.
Absolutely. Okay. Very, very, very cool. What about you, Luke? Do you have any closing questions or anything for SingleShot or for the show?
You know what? Since everyone always asks, I know you get this question a lot. Well, maybe you don't, but I know anyway, whatever. For whatever reason, although personally I think it's not useful, but I'm still gonna ask you anyway. What are your throw settings?
All right. Those throw settings are weird in Echo. There's a whole group of people that are you have to be default or you're cheating, essentially. I'm saying those people are dumb. If you're not on plus 45 when you're on CV1, you're actively throwing the game.
Cool. Are you on CV?
I'm on CV1, yeah.
Okay, so is it plus 45 and then default the rest?
I have plus 45 and then I have something 12 release-ish, somewhere around there.
All right, there you go.
You heard it here on Playmakers. If you're on CV1, you're not on 45, you're throwing the game. yo, that's a clippable thing right there. That's yo.
There's content. There's content.
100%. Okay. So I think that's it in terms of the show. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, viewers, for hanging out with us. Thank you, SingleShot, for being here, and thank you, Luke, the one you see, for being on this show and hosting with me today. Is there anything else you guys want to close with? Let the people.
Honestly, this was a lot of fun. I had no idea what to expect. I've watched only clips of this show before, and it was a good time. SingleShot, honestly, thanks for all the insight. Maybe spilling all the secrets of Ethereal.
That's right.
Now everyone knows how to beat them. Just run man defense.
Yeah.
They're not that good. Just run man defense.
Just panic the QB. It always works.
The QB.
Easier said than done. But honestly, it was a lot of fun, and it was a pleasure chatting with all y'all.
Absolutely fun. Thank you so much, SingleShot, for coming. We'd love to have you on again.
Oh, yeah.
This was absolutely a blast. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Farsight. Thank you, Jucifer. Thank you guys for coming into chat and showing some love. We'll see y'all next week. All right, folks. Peace.